All right, today we're going to take a look at our new micro little spin jigs. This is something that is new for us, but we've been fishing them ourselves for a while now, so it's time to start making them, and we're going to start sharing them with you guys. So we hand tie these ourselves, and they're a little different than a lot of other jigs out there. So for starters, they're going to be a lot smaller than most all the other jigs that you're going to find out there on the market. Right now we're doing two kind of main sizes. We're doing a 1/16 ounce jig, like this guy, with a size 4 hook. And the smaller one we're doing on a 1/32 head on a size 6 hook. Now we're tying these, we're leaving them a little bit kind of long for you guys at first. Some guys will want these with a little bit more profile, moves a lot more water when they're a little bit bigger like this, but you can absolutely trim them down. So when I'm going for panfish, and that's kind of my target, I will trim that skirt pretty close to the bend of the hook. Just reduces that profile a little bit, makes it a little easier for the panfish to get a hold of it. But for bass and larger guys, you can leave them a little bit bigger like this if you want, and then just simply trim them down if you want them a little bit smaller. So on this bigger guy here, this is the size 4, the 1/16 ounce, you can use a little slim shad trailer. You can use a little bit bigger bait. This is a 2-inch bait, and you can do a lot of different things with these jigs. You can swim them through the water column and actually retrieve them and get some action in your trailer. You can, just pitch them out and let them fall to the bottom and just kind of drag them along the bottom. And you can also just, when you trim them like this, you make them smaller, you can just hang them under a float too, and just twitch them every once in a while and raise them and lower them in the water column. There's a lot of different things you can do with the jig. You can do just about anything with them, and you can add a whole lot of different trailers to these, just depending on what you want to do. So if you're swimming them, I like to use something with a little paddle tail personally. So you can use any of our rip shads. This here is the smaller rip shad, the 1.5 inch. We do a 2-inch rip shad as well, a little bit longer. That'll work on the size 4s as well. Or you can use the slim shad. Either of those work great for fishing on the move. If you want to fish on the bottom, we have the Finesse Craw. This guy looks really good because when this falls to the bottom, his craw stands up with his kind of claws up at an angle. Or you can fish a Crappie Flopper. So this has a nice supple little tail that really flops around, has a nice wavy action to it. So now the reason we like fishing these little micro spin jigs, a lot of you guys are probably used to, 1/4 ounce and 1/2 ounce jigs, which are very popular for bass and that kind of thing. But there is definitely a time and place for these micro spin jigs, and I've been really exclusively fishing these micro spin jigs for a while now, especially on pressured fish. Main reason is they enter the water much softer than those larger jigs. They also sink much slower, much more natural too. 1/2 ounce jig, it just rockets to the bottom, which of course has its time and its place. Sometimes the fish want that, but a lot of times pressured fish have seen about a gazillion 1/2 ounce jigs rocket to the bottom, and they kind of know the deal. I can guarantee you this is one of those types of jigs that even pressured fish, they're not really seeing much yet. At least I've never really seen anybody fishing these on my pressured waters down here in Texas, and we're catching a lot of nice fish on these, merely because it's a more natural presentation, and looks a little bit more natural. When you pull this up and let it fall, instead of hopping, it's actually just kind of slowly falls, hops and slowly falls. So it looks more like a craw or a bait fish in the water column. Now, I talked about all those little trailers. You don't have to fish them with the trailers. You can just fish the jig just like this, and you will catch fish on them with just the plain jig. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, you could trim them down too and hang them under an indicator or a little float, and they'll fish just fine. But I like to add little trailers to them. Adds a little pop of color, adds more action. And for bass, if I'm going something with it where I want that profile to kind of be a little bigger, when you put your trailer on, it helps really spread that skirt out and just give the bait, a larger profile. Where without a bait, the profile is going to be a little smaller, a little sleeker. So yeah, that's our micro spin jigs, and with these, there's going to be some colors that are going to be only available once. So some will come back. If they're popular and we like them, we'll keep bringing them back. Some may not come back. Some of them will be just a little short run that basically when that batch is done, we may not redo that batch ever, or it might be a while. So if there is a color that you are seeing that you like and a size that you like, you better hop on it, because some of these will come back and some of them won't. We're going to offer them in some two-tone colors or a little bit more work to tie this way, and we'll offer them just in a single monochromatic color like that as well. A little bit easier for us to tie. So yeah, a lot of different options, and you're not limited to just these as trailers either. We have the little, let's see, let's pull out of my pack here. We have the little ultra finesse worms. I can find a bag of them here. These work pretty good as a trailer as well. These are little ultra finesse worms, so you could trail that, also thread that onto the hook, and it'll stick out a little bit longer, much more subtle look to it than with the paddle tail. It'll have more of just a worm action, but looks really good with one of these guys on the back. We have the little curly tail shad bodies as well, the little twister tails. Those also work really well. Let's see, I don't know if I have any of those on my desk right now. I wasn't completely prepared, but yeah, the little curly tail shad bodies work really good on these as well. So, and we'll go ahead and end this video with some footage of us fishing them, and you can see they do work when they're in action. That is the little micro spin jig, and you can find them at moondogbaitco.com.